Good Friday morning. Welcome to AMHQ Early. I'm meteorologist Kelly Cass. Hurricane Maria moving closer and closer to the Turks and Caicos Islands and the southeastern Bahamas. The Category 3 hurricane continues to bring dangerous wind and waves just to the north coast of Hispaniola. Meanwhile, in Puerto Rico, it did go right across Puerto Rico and caused a lot of devastation there, as we know. Here's a look at some of the impressive winds that we've seen with Maria. Starting here in St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands, we had a wind gust to 136 miles per hour. You can see in Coco, Puerto Rico, we gusted around 118 miles per hour. These are your gusts, and that's on top of some of those sustained winds that were able to not just take down the leaves, but branches and uproot trees as well. This is a picture of before here in Puerto Rico, a very forested island. And unfortunately, the wind, I mean, we're talking Category 4 strength of 150 miles per hour, and you can see all the damage to the trees here. A lot of the trees have come down, and of course a lot of homes were badly damaged as well. I know a lot of families and loved ones are trying to get a hold of people in Puerto Rico, but unfortunately they've had so many problems with communication, cell phone towers, internet down, things like that, power out to the entire island. So it's going to be a while before we can finally restore normalcy here. But you can see the worst of the weather surrounding Maria is now approaching the Turks and Caicos. It is still a Cat 3 right now with winds of 125 miles per hour. Now, it did weaken initially over the islands, but once it got back over the open waters of the Atlantic, very warm sea surface temperatures, it was able to really regain its strength. And you can see the islands right here. These are the Turks and Caicos, and now in the path of Maria, where we do have hurricane warnings in effect. A little bit of dry air out ahead of Maria, but really not filtering in or weakening the storm quite yet. We do have hurricane warning showing up in the purple right here along the north coast of the DR, also for the Turks and Caicos and the southeastern Bahamas. North of there in the central Bahamas, these are tropical storm watches, which means tropical storm conditions are possible for those islands. Now, initial impacts here for the Turks and Caicos, you're going to have the rain bands moving in initially, tropical storm force winds at first, and then we'll start to see some of those hurricane force winds later on today, and we could see quite a bit of rainfall here, 5 to 8 inches. And unfortunately, depending on where that storm, the eye of the storm goes, the right front quadrant could produce a storm surge up to 12. Of course, today we're going to have to watch out for severe storms right here in the middle, this very narrow band here from northern Minnesota stretching all the way down toward the panhandles of Texas and Oklahoma. The main threat will be damaging winds and some hail, but we can't rule out the possibility of isolated tornadoes. Showers and thunderstorms coming for the Mile High City on Saturday. Temperatures in the mid-60s, so that's your frontal boundary right there. But you see, it doesn't make a whole lot of progress as we head into the second half of the weekend. It stays very warm all across the East Coast. Especially now when we really need it the most. We've just been so affected by tragedies from Texas to Florida. Now, of course, Puerto Rico reeling from Hurricane Maria. We'll be watching the indirect impacts from Maria as well as post-tropical Jose along the East Coast, the high surf and the rip currents. Meanwhile, we've got the severe weather threat right here in the middle of the country from northern Minnesota stretching all the way down toward the southern plains. Main threat with that will be heavy rain, obviously. Also some very big hailstones. In fact, we're tracking severe weather right now in Minnesota where we could have some half-dollar size hail going on right now. Thunderstorms in our forecast as we get our weekend started in Denver. 66 degrees there. Cooler temperatures coming in behind this front just in time for the first weekend of fall. Definitely not feeling very fall-like across the east coast of the United States. I'm starting to see more and more Halloween decorations put up, and yet you've got these numbers well into the 80s, even 90 degrees for Chicago. Well,